Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I got Jonathan B. Smith here on the program, and Jonathan is an extraordinary implementer of what they call EOS. And we are doing a series on this concept. He's called the Chief Optimizer. His website is chiefoptimizer.com. But Jonathan, before we begin with your questions for this week, that I have for you this week, why don't you talk about what EOS is all about?
EOS is all about helping entrepreneurs and their leadership team get real clear on simplifying, clarifying, and then helping them achieve their vision. Helping them get their business where they want to go, so someday they get to retire with pride and say, I made it, I did it, and I got the life I wanted.
Awesome. You've been going on, in this series. Why don't you kind of summarize what we've covered up to now before I ask you the next series of questions, just briefly?
So what we've talked about to now is basically a little bit about the history of how I became an EOS implementer. I was one of the first clients of the EOS system and have been using the system for 12 years, successfully making it to the Inc. 500 list with a mini multinational company, and just really as passionate about helping other entrepreneurs get what they want from their business.
So what is the accountability chart?
Well, we use an accountability chart instead of an organizational chart for the organizations we work with. And what that means is one person in the organization is accountable meaning responsible for a specific part of the business. So, for example, someone is responsible for sales and marketing. Someone is responsible for operations. Someone is responsible for finance. And someone is responsible for overall leadership of the business. And what we do with the accountability chart is what we say is, if two people are accountable for one function, no one's accountable. So it's a great way to keep everyone on track.
Very good. What about, what is an integrator?
So the integrator is actually the person that integrates sales and marketing, operations, and finance. They're the person who runs the day-to-day of the business. In a typical business, you might call them the chief operating officer or the president.
Okay. And what about the visionary? That typically sounds like the president, or at least the guy who probably wants to be.
The visionary is the guy who's the one with all the ideas. He's the great salesman. He's the great problem solver. But what he doesn't want to do is deal with the day-to-day. So typically what happens is the integrator reports to the visionary, and the visionary is able to make those big relationships, create those great opportunities, and solve big problems.
Very good. And then what happens when two people are accountable for the same role? Well, that sounds like pandemonium.
It's like pandemonium. What happens is it looks like that cartoon where they're both pointing at each other and saying, he's responsible, she's responsible. And what happens is it creates dysfunction in the organization. That's why we want only one person responsible for each role.
Yeah, and I always just like to say I'm irresponsible. Don't tell me to do anything. So, but anyway, I still find myself having to have to do stuff in spite of that. All right. His name, of course, Jonathan B. Smith. He comes on once a week. He is the Chief Optimizer. We're doing this great series, and frankly, I'm learning a lot about EOS. And you can see it's so intuitive. That's what I like most about it. It really is an intuitive approach, isn't it?
It for sure is. It's so simple. People often say, why didn't I do this before?
Exactly. And you know what? All the pieces have always been out there, but what you've done and what EOS has done is systematize it, which is so important. Thanks so much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Kevin.
Make sure you check him out, chiefoptimizer.com. All right, speaking of checking out, make sure you keep on checking out usdatareview.com, where you'll find more information about Jonathan and much, much more after this.